He's a comedian who believes wokeness and cancel culture are ways for people to gain meaning in their lives when they have none, and that the only way to make real change is through work. Makes far too much sense, doesn't it? Now, his speech at Oxford Union resonated with so many people for very obvious reasons. Let's take a look.
And the only thing that wokeness has to offer in exchange is to brainwash bright young minds like you to believe that you are victims, to believe that you have no agency, to believe that what you must do to improve the world is to complain, is to protest, is to throw soup on paintings. And we on this side of the house are not on this side of the house because we do not wish to improve the world. We sit on this side of the house because we know that the way to improve the world is to work, is to create, it is to build.
No, I can't show you the whole thing because I don't have time, but you need to watch it if you haven't. It gives me goosebumps. It's such an incredible speech. Now, he's also an author, as I said, a comedian who's known for his political commentary, and he's a self-professed satirist. So he joins me now live from London. Konstantin, your speech, it was phenomenal in so many ways. Did you ever expect it to go as viral as it did?
Thank you very much, first of all. You know what? This may sound uncharacteristically, un-Britishly arrogant, but I actually did think it would go viral. When I wrote it, I was like, this should do well. My only question was, can I do it justice when I go on stage? And thankfully I did. So I'm very pleased with how what the reception has been, for sure.
Can I share a little secret with you? I'm very self-deprecating, but sometimes I say and do things and I think this is going to go really well too. And sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't, but sometimes it does. Now, you believe that woke culture is a dead end. Explain that.
Well, as I said in the speech, it doesn't teach you the things that you need to do well in life. Thinking that you're a victim, even if you are a victim, doesn't really help you. I talk in my book about, spending weeks as a young man sleeping on the street. Now, at that point in time, people telling me that I'm a victim and my life is to blah, blah, blah. It doesn't help. What you need is to be strong, is to be resilient, is to be confident, and to spend less time navel gazing and more time looking out into the world and thinking about how to make your place in it. So I just think it's a very unhelpful ideology that is really brainwashing people into ways of being that are first and foremost really unhealthy for them.
Yeah, it's a really great point. You can have robust discussion, you can disagree, you can be critical, all these different kind of things. Why do you think, and it's generally the left, but people on the right are guilty of it as well, why do we then try to cancel other opinions or people out? Is it because we don't believe enough in our own argument, or we don't have conviction?
Well, it's the easy thing to do. I mean, if someone disagrees with something you say and you don't like it, it's very tempting to be able to shut them down. And in the past, in some ways, it's funny. We have this amazing social media and internet technology. It's made it easier for people to speak, but it's also made it easier for people to shut down the speech of others. And I think it's just a very tempting way for people to have power, too. If you're sitting in your basement, you've got nothing to do all day, but you can type some words on your phone and suddenly a person who is in the public eye is in trouble. That's a tremendous amount of power. And we know from history that people really enjoy that kind of power.
Can I ask you, without notice, about Harry and Meghan and the events of this week, and just generally, does Harry and Meghan fit into that victimhood, woke, cancel culture kind of mentality that you talk about?
I really don't follow their lives very closely at all. I wish more people took that approach personally. I just don't think it's worthwhile. But of course, it's hard to avoid the contrast with the late Queen, life of service versus a life of whining. It doesn't mean that they aren't dealing with issues. Everybody's got problems in their lives and whatever. But I just wish we'd give them less attention and get on with things that matter.
Then what would I bloody talk about on my show for half the time? Come on now. No, I want to ask you on a more serious note. You are half Ukrainian and half Russian. I want to know your take on the war.
Well, the war's wrong. I've been saying it from day one. The invasion was an abomination. I'm very ashamed of what Russia is doing in this conflict, and very proud of my Ukrainian friends and family who as a country have stood up to this bully and are fighting for their land. That's as simple as that. I'm very proud also of the support that Britain and Australia and many other Western countries have given. I can't tell you how much every time I speak to my family in Ukraine and friends and everybody, they all say, please make sure you tell people in the West how grateful we are, how much we appreciate the support, what a difference it's making in terms of our ability to defend their country. So, you know, I'm very, very proud of them. And obviously it's a terrible situation. And I have family in both countries. So this is bad for people in Russia as it is in Ukraine. And it's a very sad situation. I hope it ends as quickly as possible. But the point I always make to people who are desperate for a peace solution as quickly as possible, as I am, is that it also isn't the first time that this has happened. So whatever peace deal ends up being done, it's important that where Ukraine ends up having some kind of long-term security, which will probably mean membership of NATO in the end.
Yeah, brilliantly put, as always. Give your book a really quick plug before you go.
Well, it's called An Immigrant's Love Letter to the West, as you probably would expect. I'm a fan of the West, and I talk about my experience growing up in the Soviet Union and my family's. I talk about where political correctness comes from. Most people have no idea, and lots of other things. And I've already started working on my second one, so I'm very excited about it.
That does not surprise me in the slightest. Konstantin Kisin, thank you so much for making time for us on Erin here in Australia. Really appreciate it.